Warning, this episode contains strong language or mature themes. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to This Podcast is Uncalled For.
Well, the name of this podcast is Stuff Uncalled For?
This podcast is uncalled for.
Podcast, all right. Well,
what's uncalled for about it?
What we doing in Tijuana?
And you're like, what did you just say?
It's a bit of a slap in the face and an insult.
And then look, thank you back home.
Oh, that's going to be great for the football chart.
Yeah, it's kind of, what is that character from Guardians of the Galaxy who takes everything literally?
Because it always happens. It always happens.
That is uncalled for, Michael.
And now, your host for this podcast, Mike Chernevsky.
Are we live? We are. It looks like we are live. So, hi everybody. Welcome to our special kickoff of production of season 5. For those who are unfamiliar with me, allow me to introduce myself real quick. My name is Mike Chernevsky. I started this podcast a couple of years ago as a way to stave off boredom, examine my life, and talk with my friends. And we're getting ready to a 5th season here. We've already got 4 in the books, and ready for another one. So really excited about it. We're also happy to announce we've got our first couple of interviews already in the can, and hoping to get more in the coming days and everything. And with any luck, we could be doing this on a weekly basis for the 5th season. We'll see how it turns out. As I said before I talk about anything else, we unfortunately do need to talk about someone's passing, everything, and acknowledge the passing of Holly Stewart. Holly was a local artist and everything. Her relation to this podcast was she was the first girl to give me a chance. I've already told the story a couple times on the podcast. For more about it, listen to Matt Sewell and Adam McKeith's Fringe show. So listen to both those episodes. It was, I guess it was from Holly. I learned that if you're getting into the arts for the money or the recognition, you're doing it all wrong. Should be first and foremost about love of what you do and everything. Granted, she wasn't too happy with me near the end, but she'll live on in my memory and everything. Whether or not that would warrant promoting her to Guardian Angel of the podcast status, I don't know. for more on that, go back to our thoughts on Guardian Angels, in which I offer a drink recipe, which appropriately one of the ingredients in said drink was whiskey. And I also remember her being quite fatalistic, shall we say, and this is from almost 20 years. It was actually 17 years ago. But yeah, wanted to take a moment to acknowledge and everything. By the way, just a quick little thing here. One of the places I get our music from is the Free Music Archive, freemusicarchive.org. And when you look there and you type in the search Kansas City, this is what I don't know if I'm sharing screen, but the only thing that comes up is Holly's work. The album is called Letters to Kansas City. In the podcast version of this, I will share one of these songs with you. It's called Midtown, and the reason I'm thinking of sharing this one is she associated me with Midtown, specifically Westport, and it'll be shared under a Creative Commons by attribution, non-commercial, no derivatives, aka Music Sharing 3.0 license. So do check that out. rest in peace, Holly. Unfortunately, I can't drink alcohol right now for the reason that I'm going to be discussing here very shortly. But I do invite you all to raise a glass. Cheers. Which gets me to the second thing I want to talk about in this live stream, and that is my health. As you probably guess from this, I spent time in a hospital lately, and I'm going to tell you that story right now. In late November 2021, so just a couple months ago, on a couple of occasions, I felt like the best be described as like a flush of blood on this side of the face, followed by a tingling sensation. In fact, as I'm speaking right now, I do feel a little tingling, but none of the rushing and everything. I thought I was having a stroke. Actually, the first time it happened, I didn't think much about it, but that happened about a week later. And at that time, I thought I was having a stroke. So I drove myself to one of those emergency room hospitals. I don't know about anywhere else in the country, but here in the Kansas City area, there have been these little mini hospitals popping around all over the metropolitan area. Some are just urgent care facilities, but some are full-blown emergency rooms. So I drove myself to one of these emergency rooms. One that would take my ACA insurance. And they saw me pretty much right away, which is a huge departure from the last time I was in an emergency room. I'm going to look that date up, but I recall it was KU Med, and I was literally in agony for hours before anyone would even see me and everything. And it was pretty expensive, it was including with my insurance at the time. Which of course I did have to change because it got prohibitively expensive, and switched to an ACA plan, which is what I have right now. Anyway, they saw me right away, and stuck the IV needle right in here, not the most comfortable spots, and everything. Gave me all sorts of drugs specifically for blood pressure, because it got up to about 160/100 or something like that. It was pretty darn high. And spent pretty much all day at that emergency room. And they said, yeah, we need to get you in a hospital as quickly as at the earliest convenience and everything. But I was in that emergency room all day, and couldn't exactly work the TV. So I wound up watching hockey all day. Not that there's anything wrong with that, nothing at all. And they did a couple of scans on me. They said, oh, there's nothing really wrong with you. It's just this high blood pressure and everything. And we were wondering if you actually did have a stroke or something. Well, later that night, an ambulance came to pick me up and drive me not to the nearest hospital, which would have been either the aforementioned Westports or out in South Overland Park. Rather, they took me up to the Northland, which I was joking with everyone at the time. If I hadn't been in the hospital, I would have been up there anyway for chess club work. So the ambulance takes me to the hospital. They guard me up to my room for the evening. I get there and I talk with the doctor and say, hey, we're going to do tests in the morning. Try to do an MRI and a heart sonogram. I think so. Overnight I'm there. Being woken up every couple of hours by the nurses. So by the way, thumbs up to those nurses. And everything. They did a fantastic job. Made sure I was doing okay. Everything. They would check everything. See if I was doing okay. That's tried not to use my devices all that much, even though they're right there with me, trying partly keep me entertained, but also didn't have any chargers with me, so had to conserve power as best I could. They would give me drugs and everything, mostly for blood pressure and stuff. They would also test my neurological response by having me look at pictures and recite what I'm seeing and everything. And they did that throughout the evening. Despite all that, slept all right. And thumbs up to the hospital food too. And I still have the menus actually of what they served me at the hospital. I think I'm looking in the right place for all of this, but no, I'm not. But the hospital food was pretty good. Was pretty good. Breakfast was pancakes with turkey, sausage, an orange, some apple juice, some water, and hot water with a bag of chamomile tea, which I thought the tea was already in the water. It wasn't, so I basically drank hot water. Got to take the tea bag home. So, and lunch was a chicken sandwich. And I forget what else was with that chicken sandwich, but I distinctly remember the chicken sandwich. I was in that hospital room most of the day and everything. Most of the day waiting for these tests to happen. The big one being the MRI. Well, they finally get to me for the MRI, and I last all of 5 minutes in that machine. It's supposed to be a 20 to 30 minutes procedure, but I lasted 5 because it gets really fucking claustrophobic in there really quick. And something that does not help with the Asperger's side of things. It was also really, really loud. Even with headphones, which were pumping through Toto's Africa. So if I could avoid the MRI experience in the future, I certainly will. But from the limited amount of information that we're fine, they said, oh, you didn't suffer any neurological damage. So that's good. And shortly after that was the heart sonogram. She just came up to the room and did the sonogram and took all sorts of photos of the hearts and everything. They said, your heart's perfectly fine. And everything. And that's about that time that my father came up to the hospital to pick me up and take me back to the emergency room hospital, which is where I had been parked. And the doctor comes in and says, you have high blood pressure and high cholesterol. So we're putting you on cholesterol meds. We want you to take aspirin every day. And change your diets and change your exercise habits. So, yeah, I did. So, they put me on what's the name of that? What's the clinical name of that drug? Torvastatin is the name of the drug. It's also known as Lipitor. Which is I got the information sheet right here. Came with the prescription, which has since been refilled. It is used along with a proper diet to help lower bad cholesterol and fats, such as LDL and triglycerides, and raise good cholesterol, HDL, in the blood. It belongs to a group of drugs known as statins. It works by reducing the amount of cholesterol made by the liver, lowering bad cholesterol and triglycerides, and raising good cholesterol, decreases the risk of heart disease, and helps prevent strokes and heart attacks. In addition to eating a proper diet, such as a low cholesterol, low fat diet, other lifestyle changes that may help this medication work better include exercising, losing weight if overweight, and stopping smoking. Well, I don't smoke anyway. So yeah, that's good to know. Parenthetically, the few times I smoked, going back to Holly for a second, that was the first time I ever smoked, and it was clove cigarettes. And at the time, didn't know there was such a thing. So, let's see, side effects and precaution before taking this. Before taking this drug, tell your doctor your medical history, especially of liver disease, kidney disease, and alcohol use. Limit alcoholic beverages. That's why I went drinking there. Daily use of alcohol may increase your risk of liver problems, especially when combined with atorvastatin. Ask your doctor or pharmacist for more. Drug interactions. I do specifically remember seeing it's on the packaging as well. I'm not supposed to eat grapefruit while on this drug, which is fine by me because I'm not a fan of grapefruit anyway. Why just grapefruits and not any other citrus fruit? I don't know. But I will say this. Seriously, need to think about getting a gym membership because it's just been so fucking cold of late that it'd be insane to go outside and take a walk. But it's supposed to warm up, I guess, this coming week. So I will definitely try to get out there a little more and get some good walking exercise. And I know far cry from what I did when I was younger and doing football and everything, but given my age and current state of fitness, probably a good way to start. Diet-wise, I've had to cut out 99.9% of my beef consumption and about 99.9% of my pork, which I hadn't been eating much pork. Anyway, it's the one meat I won't buy at a supermarket right now because pig shit geysers. And everything. But beef, I've had to severely restrict my beef consumption, eating more chicken, getting more fruits and veggies, even though there are some fruits and veggies I won't touch with a 60-foot pole. Still getting more fruits and veggies into my life. And everything. I've cut down caffeine consumption to practically zero. I mean, it's been at the time I'm doing this, it's been well over a month since I last had a Coca-Cola, for God's sakes. But if the idea is to lower my blood pressure and do so in a way that is healthy, and unfortunately that's the way to go. So yeah, and got a primary care doctor. Have all this too. So he said, yeah, pretty much everything I told you, and one other tidbit that he had mentioned is I am pre-diabetic, so not full-blown diabetic yet, but I'm pre-diabetic. All the more reason to get back in some semblance of shape, and reducing stress is going to be a huge part of why I do from now on. And it's going to be tough given what my day jobs are. Whether it's dealing with people in traffic or dealing with kids, it can be pretty stressful and everything. All the more reason, kids, when we say please pay attention in class, we mean it. Just pay attention. How difficult is it? How difficult is it to net it to pieces and just pay attention? We got a lesson going on here. So that's the updates on my health, and credits to friend of the podcast, Anna McKeith. When I floated the idea that I need to get a gym membership to get some exercise in, especially in this cold weather, he suggested Planet Fitness. My understanding is that at its most basic, it's $10 a month. I will look into it. No promises, but I will look into it because it needs to happen. So, other than that, not much to talk about at the moment. At least in terms of health and everything. As I said, a couple of episodes have already been recorded for the 5th season, and I'm not going to spoil them right now. But just know that it's happening. Yeah, it's happening. I'd be lucky to get a couple more seasons out of this podcast, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see. As long as I'm having fun with it and feel like doing the best I can, then that's great. The other thing we need to talk about today is numbers. So we have eclipsed 10,000 downloads for the entire podcast. At the moment that I'm recording this, we are at, I'm refreshing my Libsyn information, so give me a second here. We are at 10,188 downloads. The most downloaded piece of media continues to be that little song I made, Laura. Episode-wise, the most downloaded is Stories That Would Have Otherwise Been Left Untold to end Season 1. Second most downloaded is Stories Untold 2 to end Season 2. Then Ghost Stories, also in Season 2. And then most downloaded interview episode, Brian Boy, for his Fringe show. And the math checks out. He beat out Pat Lamb and Trevor Martin combined. Pat, by the way, is next on the list. And I'm also happy to report that locally in the Kansas City area, we've eclipsed 1,000 downloads locally. So, going to our trusty map here. Kansas City, this just happened today. 1,002 downloads. Next is Columbus, Ohio at 912. Then Steve dropped off between us and DC, 272. Then San Francisco Bay Area, New York, Denver, Chicago, Dallas, Fort Worth, and so on. Those are just the cities that breached 100 downloads. There are 35 different cities that breached double digits. So let's keep up that good work. And again, one of the things I would hope to do in the future with this podcast is take it on tour, go to all these cities that gave us double digits downloads, but that's still pretty far in the future. And we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Everything for the more immediate future, I am going to try to get us in the 2022 Kansas City Fringe Festival, whether it's doing our recordings in person or sticking with the virtual Fringe. We'll just have to wait and see on that one. The process was needlessly complicated this year. Anyway, internationally, sticking with our stats breakdown. So for the U.S. as a whole, we have over 6,700 downloads. In India, we're at 2,700. Then Ireland is next, 124. And Germany is 2 away from 100 at 98. France is following close by at 93. Then round up our top 10. It's UK, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Canada, and Belgium. So, yeah, feeling pretty good about this. Everything. Did someone just? I'll be all right. I'll be all right, and just one of those things. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing, trying to get healthier, and I think to get that blood pressure lowered. And I'm open to any suggestions on how to do just that. Everything. One last note before I do wrap things up here early. Representing the Arizona Cardinals today. Hope they win the NFC West here. So let's burn the sage for the Cardinals and burn the sage. I can't believe I'm saying this. Burn that sage for the San Francisco 49ers. I'll be damned if those professional liars out of Cleveland win the division. They don't deserve to win anything further. Which brings me to, I think we'll end with this. If you're interested in being on the podcast, please let me know, either here on the page or through my personal private messaging. And I am hoping to get a co-host for later on this season. So if you know anyone locally, I want to emphasize it needs to be someone local and willing to work for free to start with. We'll see about getting paid, but at present I don't get paid to do this, and what money I have made has been pretty much exclusively from Casey Fringe. It really hadn't been all that much. So if you're from the Kansas City area and are interested in helping out with the podcast, please also contact me, and we will see what we can do. And as for future interviews, I'm going to put a call out to Denver sports fans. So if you're a fan of either or, you could be a fan of either one of the two, but if you're a fan of, or you could be a fan of both from podcast. But if you are a fan of the Denver Nuggets or the Colorado Avalanche, I would love to have you on the podcast to do a follow-up on our Crocky Out interview, because we got the Arsenal perspective on that episode, and I represent the St. Louis perspective. I would love to hear the Denver perspective, so if you know anyone who is a Nuggets or an Avalanche fan, or happen to be one yourself, please contact me. And now I think I will go ahead and end it. So thank you all so much for your continued support of the podcast. Let's continue to grow it and everything, and I will talk to you again soon. Thank you.
This podcast is Uncalled For, is hosted, produced and edited by Mike Chernevsky. Opening music is Cool Hard Facts by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0 license. The outro music for this episode is Light, Livid by Clarabelle, licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 3.0 international license. Additional music includes Midtown by H. Stewart, licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives, aka Music Sharing, 3.0 international license. And No Frill Salsa, Alternate by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0 license. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast through your favorite podcasting platform. Like our Facebook page at facebook.com/uncalledforpodcast, and check out our blog with show notes at uncalledfor.home.blog. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you next time.